All right, all right. Freedom from alcohol peeps. I wanted to bring Patty. Is it Melquist? I never know how to say your
Yes.
last name.
Yep,
Melquist
Milkwist.
today. Awesome. She is one of our booze-free badasses, which is our private group for our clients. And I'm going to have Patty just share her story, and I'm going to ask her a couple questions, very informal interview style. So first of all, congratulations, Patty.
Thank you very much.
Like so fun to work with you. We have like some memories together that make me laugh, and maybe you got a present from me with one of those on there.
Yes.
So tell our listeners where you were before we started working together. Just paint a picture of whatever you feel comfortable talking about, and just where you were, and then we're going to paint the picture forward.
Okay. So I am 52 years old. I'm a respiratory therapist. I live basically in Buffalo, New York. I'm from this area. Just came back in time for the blizzard last year. So I'm navigating all kinds of stuff here. I have been a problem drinker probably only for about the last, I shouldn't even say problem. I've been a drinker for probably about the past 10 years. I would say I've been a problem drinker for the last 5 or 6 years, give or take. I, as a teenager, was, the occasional drinker. We go to a party, get as drunk as possible because it was fun and that's what you did. And, and it was a privilege to be invited. But beyond that, I have not really been a drinker. So for me, I got married when I was in my early 40s. I'm divorced now. Met a guy who was a drinker. Knew that about him when I met him, sort of kind of like the whole, marrying your dad kind of thing. My dad was an alcoholic, but my husband was a scientist, is a scientist, a home beer brewer, and a beer aficionado, if you will. So I sort of got swept up in that world, the science of it, but also the beer drinking part of it.
Sure.
So we started out, socially drinking, or at least I did. He was a much more seasoned drinker. We'd hit a brewery on the weekends, Friday night after work, Saturday, we'd hit a brewery, play some pool, became kind of a thing. That turned into, okay, well, why don't we do Thursday night?
Oh, of course. Because more is better, right?
Right, exactly. And it's like, I only have to get through Friday.
Yeah.
And then we have the weekend, right? And so on and so on. So, Thursday turns into Wednesday, and then we'd have a homebrewers meeting on a Tuesday.
Oh, you guys had meetings too?
Oh yeah, once a month, where there was a little bit of education, and then everybody brought their beer. And of course you had to support the brewery where the event was being held.
Right.
So yeah, then it just kind of turned into an almost everyday thing at that time. Certainly he was an everyday drinker. I subscribed more to, only on weekends, never on a school night kind of mentality. Right. Until I can't tell you when, maybe towards the end of the marriage, which was early 2019, it became not a social thing anymore, but a way to cope with what was going on at home. Stop and get a 4-pack of my favorite beer, just so I could drink it, just so I could crash early and not have to deal with anything. At least that's what I told myself at the time. So yeah, it, like many, starts as a social thing, then it turns into a habit and a crutch and a detriment, and an addiction.
Yes.
So that's how it evolved for me. Like many, or like everyone, I used it as an excuse. No, I shouldn't say that. I had any reason to drink, right? I had a great day, I had a bad day, something sad happened, something fun happened, you name it. There was always a reason to drink. I left my husband, woohoo, I'm on my own again, I'm going to celebrate. Yes, I'm a little sad for whatever reason. So it's, yeah. And, before you know it, you're drinking every single night and drinking as much as you can till you black out, till you, stumble to bed, and then get up and repeat.
Whew, and try to make
So,
it through the day and do it all over again to your point,
correct,
right? So a couple of
correct.
things that popped out for me that's interesting, and I want to just share this with the people that are watching either live right now or going to come back and watch the recording. Um, the classes and education around alcohol crack me up, like because we can make it into something where it's acceptable to drink, in any way we can find a way to get it to go into a new space, we're doing it. So
Yes,
now we can educate you. So this is like a class. This is
right,
for fancy people, right? People
yes,
who really know their beers or know their wine. So we turn it into this big BS thing. Well, like it's a wine class. It's just that's all it is. Meanwhile, 7 glasses later, that's not all it was, right?
correct, correct,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And then your fall from like, hey, like I don't even really drink till I got married and started drinking on the weekends and maybe then a Thursday until nightly drinking, where it took a lot more than 4 beers to get you kind of to that point, like you said, of like just passing out. So you could just numb
Mhm.
out for the night, get up in the morning, repeat the whole cycle again. It's interesting because some people will take 20, 30 years to get to where you did and raise their hand and be like, okay, this is BS. I'm not doing this to myself anymore. And some people, it's very quick. It's 5 years, it's 2 years, it's 10 years. So it's interesting and just a point to look out for anybody wondering, like, do I have a problem? It doesn't matter how long it's been. If it's getting in your way in any way, if your alcohol usage is causing any problems or any negative side effects, it's become problematic.
Yes.
Yeah. So whether that's with relationships, work, health, all of that. So when you were kind of at the height, right before you reached out to Chris and I and we're like, hey, I want to talk about coaching possibly. What would you say the biggest problem was? What with alcohol that you were having at that time?
Self-loathing.
Uh-huh.
I again, we use the phrase high functioning, and I have a great career. I live alone, so I, you know, drank in secret, but didn't have to hide it from anyone.
Right.
But, um, but every single day, not only thinking about drinking, but also thinking about how I don't want to drink.
Mhm.
And it became just this vicious cycle where I was so disappointed in myself, yet not able to fight back against the urge to continue
Right.
drinking,
Yeah.
and it was such a conscious conflict every single day. And people talk about, drinking a bunch of wine and crying themselves to sleep. I mean, I've had many, many, many times over the years where I was, on a Sunday night, because I don't drink on Sundays, but something made me go to the store because I had to buy beer whenever I wanted it. I could never buy extra because it would
Uh-huh.
never last.
Yeah.
So I would, powerlessly drive to the store
Mhm.
and buy beer and sit and cry while I was drinking it on a Sunday night. It was the last thing that I wanted to do, but I didn't have the wherewithal. I didn't have the power to stop.
Mhm. You didn't
It
have the
was
tools, right? So you knew you didn't
correct.
want to be doing this, but also you had this like drive. And we call that the mental gymnastics, where it's like, I'm not
Yes.
going to drink tonight. I'm so sick of myself with this, and I need to take a break or I need to just quit. I know I have a problem. And then I heard somebody else explain it in our group, and I'll share this because I loved it. Walking home from the hospital after a scare with alcohol. The first liquor store this person passed, walking home from the hospital. No, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to drink. It's bad for me. I don't want it. It caused me to stay in the hospital for 3 days. Awesome. Next liquor story passes. Well, now the mental gymnastics are starting to go, and you can see that how we do this and we rationalize it. And everybody watching this knows exactly what we're talking about. So by the
Mhm.
second liquor store he passed, he's suddenly like, well, liquor was the problem. I wonder if I could just drink beer. I wonder if I should just drink beer and nothing hard, no wine, no liquor, but just beer. No, no, no. I said I was going to be done. I asked God, to heal me and I would not drink anymore. Third store, boom, 6 pack.
Yep.
But it won't leave you alone. So you
Yes.
have to find the tools to make that voice just stop.
Yes.
And
Yes,
a lot of people
absolutely.
probably know that voice too with food. They
Yes.
go on a diet. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so what you want for your life and why Chris and I's method resonated so much with you is because it wasn't about using willpower to quit and feel like
Right.
you have to white knuckle it through and never have a piece of chocolate cake again. You know,
Right.
you wanted to be able to go out, have a good time, be around alcohol because you can't live in a bubble, but just have no need for it or no drive for it, and understanding that there's no benefits for Patty. There's no benefits for
Right.
anybody, right? But
Right.
no benefits for us. Would you say that's a pretty good assessment of why
Yes.
we reached out?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
And when I say, feeling powerless, I didn't even feel that I had the willpower, to use that
Mhm.
phrase. I felt that, like so many, that I wasn't going to get better. This was my life. This was how I was going to be. I saw, another one of the people in our group that did an interview talking about, reaching out to a therapist and getting nothing from it, and, not connecting, not getting any advice, just blank stares because they couldn't understand.
Mhm.
And that also resonated with me because, again, the people in our group, our people are our people, right? We've
Yes.
all been, um, you've been in my shoes, and Chris has been in my shoes, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think that's what makes this so successful, is
Yes.
because, there's not anything that I can pull out of my hat that you guys haven't done or heard or invented. Right. So,
Right. Yes. Yes.
got a lot to do with it. But yeah, yeah, for me, it was just the hate that I had for myself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Because
Yeah.
again, we're all doing the same stuff, but it's interesting because willpower doesn't work, but also you knew it wasn't going to work again because you tried it so many times. And I'm not telling you
Yes.
a story. I'm telling the collective story of what we do with this. We do those mental gymnastics. By the third time we've thought about alcohol, we go and get it just enough for tonight, and we'll start over tomorrow. And then the next day we're so hungover, we almost need it because what
Yep.
makes the hangover feel better, right?
Yes.
Quitting drinking or continuing to drink.
Yes.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so and we just lie to ourselves so much, we don't even believe ourselves anymore. We don't
Right.
like ourselves, and we've just kind of just lost all trust. So
Yes.
it's almost like something it's not gonna be willpower. We already know that's gonna fail.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this story. So, um, after you talked to Chris, what made you say, "I'm doing this. Like, right now, let me just sign up." What made you say, "This is the answer. I'm willing to risk it for the biscuit." Like, I'm willing to put my trust
So,
in someone else.
right. Um, Chris, uh, it's interesting with social media how, the algorithms get figured out for you. But I think even way before I was on TikTok, Chris would show up a lot on Facebook with his lives.
Mhm.
Probably because I'd searched 1,000 times on Google, like, how do you quit drinking? Or is there like a magic pill? Or, and then they start feeding you this stuff.
Yeah.
But there's something about Chris that I think probably attracts people. The way he talks, he's got his personality is very charismatic. He seems like a normal guy. And so every single time I saw him show up on Facebook, but then also on TikTok,
Mhm.
I took notice.
Yeah.
And I've, also drunk me would put his name on my calendar, like, contact Chris
Yeah.
tomorrow. Then tomorrow would come and it'd show up on my calendar. I'd be like, who the hell did that? And I'd erase it really quick. So,
You're like, "Yeah, 'cause I already
so
bought my 12 pack."
right.
Yes,
Postpone
but
that
drunk
till
you just
Sunday.
kept at it until sober you took
Honestly,
action, right?
honestly, yeah. And so this go around, I again, sick and tired of myself, fed up with my story, mentioned it to my therapist, who I've been seeing for other things.
Mhm.
And her reaction reflected back on me, reinforced what I knew,
Mhm.
which was that you have a problem.
Mhm.
And it was kind of like I needed that to sort of seal the deal.
Mhm.
Sounds kind of silly. But then again, on an evening after, I think it was a Monday, after having many beers, I, filled out the thing on Chris's
Mhm.
bio. And then he Facebook messaged me right back the next day. And we set up a call, I think, for the following day. Like, as soon as I could do it, I did it. I didn't want to
Mhm.
change my mind. Um, I knew that if I said, let's do it in 3 weeks, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then, getting him on the phone, it went just like I thought it would. He sounded just exactly like I expected that he would. So yeah, I decided it was time. You know, I had, if not now, it probably wouldn't have been ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know it doesn't get any better, it just gets worse. So
Correct.
you mentioning that Google Doc that you filled out to get in contact with Chris, I'll drop that into the comments for anybody that wants to see it, and use it to start a conversation with Chris or myself. And one of the things that you said was, oh, poop. Oh, you needed somebody. My ADHD is wild these days. You can have something right there and then it goes away. You said you needed your therapist to kind of tell you that you had a problem. And I know a lot of people need that like validation of like, is this normal drinking or is this not? I'm going to speak to that for just a second before I ask you your next question. If you're wondering if you have a problem drinking, you do. Because people who don't have a problem drinking that only pick up a beer, once every 6 months because they use it to toast their wedding or something, they're not sitting around wondering if they have a problem. So, those of us who are sitting around saying, oh, I've really messed this up. I don't know what happened last night. I'm blacking out. I've missed a few days of work this year. You're probably high functioning. But you're still a person who could really benefit from getting this poison, this ball and chain out of your life. So it doesn't matter if, you can't measure like, oh, well, I only drink 2 beers a night, so I don't have a problem. If those 2 beers are making your life miserable in any way, then it doesn't matter. The number doesn't matter. The comparing to Patty's story or my story, it doesn't matter. It's just like, hey, if it's causing problems in any area of life, then you are a problem drinker. We don't believe in, labeling people as alcoholics and making you feel like you're weak and powerless. But problem drinker is a better term for kind of what we do, because when we have a problem, we can find a solution, then it's no longer a problem. So we don't need a lifelong label either.
I lost my screen for a minute, so I was panicking. I apologize, but
Oh,
I heard
no,
everything you said. Yeah, it's back. I don't know what happened, but it's back.
it froze.
Yeah, and it just went blank,
You're like,
but obviously
no.
not on your end. Yes, I'm hitting every button in the world, but yes, I'm back.
Okay, good. But later on, you're going to find out that you ordered like 10 things from like Burger King or something.
Right,
Just
right,
from all that clicking.
right.
So were you skeptical of anything at first when, like, say you and I first met on our first Zoom, or anything throughout the process? Were you skeptical of anything? And what do you think was most effective for you? Why did this work for you? And also share with the people, like, how long has it been? It's been a minute.
Yeah, so of course I was skeptical. I'm skeptical by nature, right? You always have to be skeptical. When I talked to Chris and found, I didn't know that he even had anyone else that worked with him, and I found that you would be my coach, my best friend in the whole world, her name is Lauren, so I figured that was probably a sign there. I Yeah, skeptical because, again, feeling defeated, didn't think anything was going to work for me. um Tell me what else you had asked me
I
there.
asked you too many questions at one time. Yes. What are you skeptical about, and what was most effective for you?
For me, the part that will remain the most effective is just the community, having other people at different stages. Again, these Monday night calls that we have, which have people at different stages. When I first got on the calls, or even watched all the back calls,
Mhm.
you get a little bit of inspiration from each person, whether they've been there 3 months or 1 year or 2 weeks or 2 days, like me that time.
Yeah.
So that's what does it for me, knowing that there's other people out there like me. I think that in life we search for others who are the same as us.
Mhm.
And when it comes to drinking, I have some of those friends that are the same as me, and they're the problem drinkers, and thankfully, those people are not in my vicinity anymore. But knowing that everyone that we interact with has been where we are or
Mhm.
is where we are, that to me is the most important thing. You can say stuff that's not going to make anyone blush because, yeah, whatever. Oh yeah, I did that, or I've done that
Yes.
10
Yes.
times. So that for me is the biggest deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Community is huge. And for people that aren't clients that are watching this, we do have that private Facebook group just for our clients. And then we have private Zooms that we do each Monday. And we also do a book club, which is open to, clients and non-clients, but it's called the Booze Free Badasses. And it's a space where you do earn some family members. Like, you just gain these family members, because it is really weird to walk around society and like try to connect with people who don't get it. And when I was quitting, not many people understood, but a lot of people close to me knew it was a good choice for me. So they supported me the best they could. But coming into this community as somebody who has already quit like times 2 years, I found support. Even as a coach, like y'all support me as well, because we are just like, it's just a collective thing. Like we've all done the same things, heard the same thing. Right. You're not going to make anybody blush. You're not going to
Right.
say something so absurd that they're like, oh my God, you did what?
Right.
You did what now? And we know
Right.
because alcohol makes us do really stupid things, really
Yeah.
embarrassing things. But we walk around with this like cognitive dissonance that we're not allowed to talk about the bad part of alcohol because everybody wants to embrace it and continue to abuse it. And so nobody's going to say like, oh my gosh, I really got to quit drinking because I did A, B, or C, because the other people are like, ah, I've done that before. No big deal. You'll be fine. Just drink less next time. Nobody wants to call it because they want to continue with their behavior. So our community is really cool because like we're going to be going to Costa Rica in January or February of next year. And I think Chris is going to get that locked down really shortly. But it's going to be a booze-free vacation, a booze, I don't know what he called it, a sober vacation. I don't know what he called it, but it's going to be really cool because it's us and having a
Yeah.
good time visiting volcanoes and hot springs and beaches, and just showing people that you don't have to have alcohol to make any of that go off with a bang, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about your outcome. What has changed from the date, what you just described at the very beginning of this interview to now? What has been the biggest thing? You're obviously alcohol free, and that's been like at least 120 days, something around.
Oh, right. Yeah. March 3rd was the day I started. So yeah, going on 4 months next week.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
What is different about life now than before? Count the ways.
So feeling hopeful again, regaining my confidence. It's tough to live every day. And maybe it's the negative self-talk. I'm not exactly sure, but living each day as a 52-year-old woman,
Mhm.
not confident in decisions that you make
Mhm.
in my job that I'm very good at, or in, just interactions with people socially, it's really difficult to, have yourself criticizing you all the time.
Right.
So that has gone away, which I'm grateful for because I spend a lot of time with myself, right?
Yes. You've learned
So
to trust yourself again
yes,
and like
absolutely.
yourself. Yes.
Absolutely. So I feel like I said, hopeful. I feel my anxiety. I've had anxiety forever, but my, the daily palpable anxiety is gone.
Mhm.
The rest of it's taken care of by the medication I've been on forever. But yeah, waking up on a Sunday morning and feeling jittery, blaming that, I haven't eaten yet, it's just the coffee, knowing
Mhm.
that it's the alcohol, or the whole day feeling like you did something wrong. And I'm talking about living
Yeah.
alone with my cats, and I feel like I did something wrong, even though I hadn't done anything with anybody the night before.
Yeah.
So it's just this constant chaotic space that I was living in,
Yes.
and that has all improved itself. Waking up in the mornings feeling good. If you don't feel good, it's not because you drank,
Yes.
it's because you just might not feel good. You might have a headache, whatever. Um, yeah, everything is different. I think for me, just
Mhm.
feeling hopeful again, upset that, this alcohol took such a hold on me. I'm
Yes.
upset by that, right? Because I'm a strong person,
Yeah.
and somehow it snuck in,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden it started to control me.
Mhm.
And that upsets me because,
Mhm.
none of us saw it coming. But I'm grateful that for you guys that I'm able to get on the other side of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. And tell me
Yeah.
a little bit more about different parts of life, like sleep, like your relationships. So, like for the drinkers, like the drinkers we know. So, describe to me the difference between how you can say yes to things that you couldn't say yes to before.
So yeah, that was a big thing because, I I drink, and I drink fast, right? So, whoops, my cat's trying to take my keyboard. When I would start drinking, come home from work, crack open a beer, I, have 4 of them down probably within an hour and 15 minutes. So by then it's like, okay, now I'm watching the clock. When can I go to bed? It's only like 5:20, right? So, but if somebody would text me or call me, I would often not take the call, or I wouldn't respond to the text, for fear, number one, that they would know that I was drunk already.
Mhm.
But number two, that they're going to say, hey, do you want to grab dinner? It's like, well, I got to go to bed because, I'm not even having dinner tonight because I can't drive.
Yeah.
So, well, none of those conversations happened because I avoided all of them. Now it's so refreshing when someone, says, hey, I'm going to be at the airport picking up someone. Do you want to grab dinner around 6:30? I'm like, well, yeah, I can. Actually, I can, because I'm not drinking. I can safely drive. I'm not asleep. So all of that has changed. I can say
Yeah.
yes to certain things now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, like we've talked about before, go places that don't serve alcohol. I
Yes.
don't need to,
Yes.
we don't have to have lunch at a brewery
Right.
because their salads are great, right? We can have
Oh,
lunch
yeah, it's
anywhere.
because of
Yeah.
the salad. You've never had
Yeah.
a salad this good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, yeah. So yeah, I for sure missed out on things, graduation parties over the years, recent years. Um, a lot of stuff I didn't want to do, but a lot of stuff I did. But
Mm.
it was just too inconvenient for me because it was a bit of a drive and
Yeah.
I couldn't start drinking at the graduation party because I would be fall down drunk.
Mhm.
So I would rather skip it so that I could stay home
And do it privately.
and do it privately. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thing was, I'd have one glass of wine with me as soon as possible when I'd walk in the door. And then if somebody texted and said like, hey, do you guys want to come play putt-putt? Well, I couldn't because I could have driven because one glass of wine, is fine. But I had plans and I didn't want my plans
Yes.
interrupted. We can't have a glass of wine, take a long break, and then go back to it because now
Absolutely
that
not.
one glass was wasted. Right?
Yes.
I know y'all on here know what I'm
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
couldn't, but also, so it's not like I'm allowed. So for me, I had to limit myself because again, if I had 5 bottles of wine here, I'd drink as much as I could in one night, even if I said I was going to have one glass, I'd drink it all until I fell asleep or it was gone.
Yes.
So I needed to
Yes.
go get one bottle of wine. So now you people are messing with my drinking time and my buzz and I didn't think this all the way through at the time. The answer was just no, because I've already had a glass of wine and I'm going to drink the rest of this bottle very quickly to get
Yes.
my buzz on or my drunk on. And if we separate those by any time and space, it's not going to be the same effect. And y'all have wasted
Correct.
all my time. We make our world so small.
Yes.
So you've been telling me about your Saturdays or Sundays, either one where you can like go and have a movie and do a pedicure, and it's not
Yeah.
dipping into your drinking time.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. It really is. Before it would be, okay, let's do our nails at 10 and then we'd have lunch after, my girlfriends. Now, then they're like, well, why don't we start like, getting our nails done around 1 and eating after? And before I'd be like, oh, I'd prefer to do it in the morning, but yeah, of course now I'm flexible. We can do whatever works for
Right.
them. And,
Right.
because yeah, it's not a priority anymore to get drinking as quick as possible. Yeah, part of me says I'm a morning person and I am, but I became a morning person on the weekends so that I could get all my obligations over with so that, the
Right.
afternoon could be devoted to drinking. I'm not even a night drinker. I'm like, I'll start drinking at 1, in bed by 6. That was my Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, nope, I get it. I get it. And it's crazy how life just dumbs down all the way to just, I got to drink. And this
Yeah.
is one of my drinking times, so we can't do anything else. And it was funny because on our first meeting, when we were wrapping up our first Zoom together, I said, well, let's look at what time you want to meet next. And I threw out 6:30 p.m. You get off work around 5. So I was taking that into account. And you were like, no, I'm not going to be able to. Oh, yes, I can.
Yes.
Because you were planning to not have your drinking interrupted, but you had forgotten that you had quit drinking.
Correct. I remember that. I remember that
It's
vividly.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I
Yes.
remember those days. So now it's
Yeah.
6:30 is not the end of the day. And we don't have to get everything done by, 5 so we can slam drinks until 6:30 and go pass out somewhere.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes. It's definitely a whole shift in everything, in your thinking, and yeah, shaping your entire day, without going home to get drunk is pretty exciting.
Yeah. So a lot of people are worried that they're going to be bored when they quit drinking. And that may be true at first. I know I experienced that because I'm like, where's the chaos? I'm not like fighting myself every minute with that voice, but also like there's no drama that I'm creating because of my madness with my drinking. What have you started doing that you didn't do before? How are you filling your time?
I was one of those people also that thought I would be bored, and I think that was just a good way for me to not stop drinking.
Hmm.
And I think that we all think then it makes drinking a hobby, not a habit when we say it like that. I fortunately, I don't get triggered by coming home and sitting on the couch and watching TV. So I've just taken up a bunch of documentaries, especially when we started meeting, the weather was terrible here, as you know, and whatever. So um, I'm always in, up to my eyeballs in a docu-series
Yes,
or a
we love it.
documentary or something like that. Yeah.
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 Remember you sent me one night and I'm like, what's this? And you're like, yep, wrong person.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
this doesn't
Right.
look like it was meant for me. It wasn't anything bad. It was just not something I'm into.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
was totally not meant for me. So, all right, I'm going to let this wind down because I don't want to keep you all night, but tell me a little bit about using Chris's. So with our clients, you get some extra benefits. We have one-on-one meetings. We have community Zooms. I host a book club. We bring on experts onto our meetings, like intimacy experts, meditation experts, physical fitness, menopause help for women. Like, we just do all sorts of stuff. But Chris is also certified in hypnosis, and he does a hypnosis track that is available to our clients that is helpful in reprogramming for alcohol consumption. And then I do another process. And so I'd love to ask you about the hypnosis, and then I'm going to ask you about the stuff that I do and just what was your
Yeah.
experience?
So the hypnosis, I have not devoted the time it takes every night consistently to listen to it. And it should be a priority. His hypnosis is fantastic. And I remember him talking about, being hesitant about making it because he wanted it to be perfect and
Mhm.
whatever. I again, being a skeptic, I don't never really thought much about things like hypnosis and meditation and all that kind of stuff, but his hypnosis track is fantastic. And I can sit, just quiet everything, not in the morning, but more after dinner, just kind of in the evening, and make a point of just quieting things and having that on. And I can truly feel a difference physically after it's over. And have you listened to it?
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, everything about it is just fantastic. I don't know, I can't say what part of it makes things stick or change or whatever, but between, his voice and his speaking and the visual descriptions of everything, I just think it's fantastic. But it, in that moment makes me feel calm,
Yes. Okay.
almost lethargic when I try to like stand up and
Yes.
do anything else after that. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. And so anything that we can throw in the toolbox for our clients, like, we do it because we want to just make sure that we're hitting you from all sides. And
Yeah.
because there's different modalities that work for different people, but our goal for each and every client that we have is freedom, not deprivation. So freedom from alcohol, not deprivation from alcohol. Like, yeah, we don't want you to drink because you knew that that was bringing you down and limiting your life, but we want you to feel good about that. So any of the tools that we can help to, help the subconscious get on board with that, because we know that's what you consciously want, is all good. So I love his hypnosis track. What
Hmm.
about the Psych K? So Psych K is something that I offer, and each and every one of our clients gets one session with me. And Psych K is all about taking those beliefs that get us stuck and kind of throwing them in the trash and putting a new belief. I kind of think of it like putting in a new, like, SD card into your brain with the new belief that you'll subconsciously just have, and getting rid of the self-limiting one. So we had our session, and what did you think about that?
You know, um, Again, I was skeptical. I'd never heard of it before. Of course, after you had sent me the link about the guy, and I watched some stuff on probably YouTube or whatever about it, and I find it fascinating, and I really do. When you and I met, being self-conscious, it felt a little bit strange
Mhm.
at first what we were doing, with the process of it, but you know, the main thing I remember that you and I worked on for me was just what do I even call it? Self-confidence.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
is that even the
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, self confidence. Yeah, confidence.
Yeah, confidence. So without having something like, hit me the next day, I, and really not even in thinking about it, I think a few days later I had sent you a text about it. Like, I'm not sure, I can't say for sure that anything's different, but I just bought this hat. Remember, I sent you that picture of me in like
Yes.
the straw hat that I bought. And I can say that my self-confidence, my confidence, is definitely, and I'm going to say self-confidence because for me it's, how do I present myself? What
Yes.
do I wear? How do I feel wearing this kind of thing? That's been
Yeah.
something that's been a problem for me my entire life.
Mhm.
You buy clothes, you never wear them, you throw them out. You buy them again next year, you never wear them. So I have found a lot of changes in that. I think it definitely has helped me, um, obviously change my self-confidence, but also I think it also helped push me towards coming into my own,
Yes.
gave me a
Oh,
little shove that way, which is
love that.
an amazing feeling. It really is. It's very liberating. And I'm not making it up. I mean, I believe that yeah, something changed.
Yeah.
Something changed. I didn't have an aha moment per se, but
Well, I
something
remember texting
changed.
you and I said, that's not something you would have bought before, is it? And you're
No,
like,
right.
no, because it had like this big brim. Like it was a
Yeah,
little over the top, right? So
yeah,
I loved it.
yeah,
I'd wear it every day.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
was like, that's not something that you would have bought normally, is it? And but you felt comfortable to buy it and you weren't worried about like, what are people going to think if they see me in this? Are they going to think
Correct.
like, who does she think she is? You were like confident in the fact that you're like, I
Yes.
like it, I own it, let's go.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I wore it out of the store.
Oh,
And yeah, yeah. So, I mean, to compare and contrast that with this winter, living back in Buffalo, I bought a winter cap. Everybody looks adorable in a winter cap. And can I tell you, I never wore it because I did not think that I looked adorable. And I would rather
uh-huh.
freeze
Hmm.
then, so I mean, there's the difference right there.
Yes.
A straw hat doesn't, I don't need a straw hat. I need a winter cap,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So that's to compare right there is a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And so just to clarify with everybody, it doesn't with that session, it can be about alcohol if that's what somebody wants to focus on, but we're more about what's your life going to look like because alcohol again dumbs our life down to this really small place. Like for you, it was your apartment where you could be alone, where you could drink. For me, it was without like a lot of social connections, staying home mostly because I was hungover or drunk. And then just doing my kids and doing like what I need to do for the family and going to work. But when you quit drinking, all of a sudden you have all these hours and you have all this free space and you have all this money, hopefully,
Yes.
that you can now spend in different ways. So Chris and I not only are helping you to stop drinking, but we're also helping you see like we got to build a life now because this life that you had is gone. Without drinking, this life makes no sense and you are meant for so much more.
Yes.
So if somebody wants to work on confidence, if somebody wants to work on finances, if somebody wants to work on spirituality, all of those things are available within the Psych K modality that I use to help facilitate change. And it just works really quick. Like now you just believe in your subconscious that's running the program 95% of the time. You believe you're confident. And so
Yeah.
ain't nobody gonna tell you nothing.
Right.
And you
Right.
don't have to think about it. It's now there. You are
Yes.
confident. It's a truth for you. It's not something we have to guess. And that's why it's so cool.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's very cool.
All right, so one last question. I'm going to let you go because this is supposed to be a little shorter, but I'm not going to say we. I am long winded. So, who do you think needs this program?
I've been thinking about this question and how people answer it, and I'm going to answer it the same way. It, if you think you have a problem, you have a problem.
Mhm.
If you're sitting at home every night upset with yourself because you're drinking again, like all of us did, you need this. Give it a try, free call to begin with. I think everybody that is questioning their drinking could benefit from this. Absolutely. You have to, you have to believe in yourself. You have to put yourself first for a change and make yourself a priority and it will work.
Yeah, you just kind of have to
Yeah,
have faith a little bit. The self confidence will
correct.
come because you're not gonna trust yourself. You have to let us do it for you. And
Yes.
kind of one of the first things I said to you and what I say to my clients is, what if you just let me believe in you until you can?
Yeah.
And then that's what
Yeah.
I do. And then you start to believe in yourself. And eventually you don't need me anymore because you've got your own wings to fly and it's awesome. But we are going to meet up for lunch soon. So that's going to be fun.
Yes.
We're going to get
Yes.
this thing
Absolutely.
going. Well, I'm going to cut this off, but hang around. I'm just going to stop the record and stop the stream if I can.
Okay.
But for anybody, watching and just wanting to have a conversation with me or Chris, drop in below and just say me, and I will drop the link as soon as Patty and I are done here. But everybody have a good night, and Patty, congratulations to you. You are a true badass.
Thank you. Thank you.